Hi everyone, I know a lot of you use Houdini to create simulations and then render everything in Cinema 4D. So in this quick tip, I will explain how to export Alembic files from Houdini to Cinema 4D with multiple objects and then add different colors or materials to them inside Cinema 4D with Redshift, without having to export multiple Alembics. Hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial and I hope it will help you improve your workflow. Okay, let's do something really quick. So let's place a geometry node. Let's call it spheres. Why not? Let's place a sphere. And let's make it a soft body animation really quickly. Let's go polygon. Let's go with 10. Let's move this up. Transform. Let's move it up 3. Why not? Let's convert to a soft body. Let's go soft body. And let's place a solver. A really simple and quick soft body animation. Let's put a grid just to make them collide with the floor. Simple as that. Okay, if I check this, let's go. We can see the blue grid is the floor and our sphere will fall down and collide. Cool. Now, of course, you can come here, put a post process. Let's do this really quickly. Just loop, just one, and let's see how it looks. Okay, cool. Let's just change this a bit, make them more soft body. So let's change here. Let's go with 0.001 on the vellum cloth. Okay. Cool. And you can even lower down a bit the struts here. Let's go with 1. And I think this will work for now because we are not really checking this. Let's go back to 10. Okay, so we have our sphere. Okay, this is pretty boring, and you could, let's place a null and export this as an alembic, but that is super simple, okay, because we have only one geometry. So let's multiply our spheres, make a bunch of them, and use a little technique that I found that we could export point attributes to the Alembic, using Alembic into Cinema 4D, and then use that point attribute to colorize or give different materials to our spheres. Okay, from what I've experimented was you can export point attributes, but only floats. It will work only with floats. If you want to like color the spheres here and pass the colors into the Alembic and use those colors on Cinema 4D, you have to convert the vector point attributes into floats and into 3 point attributes and so on. So what I mean is let's place a box. Okay. And let's see the box. Let's go with 4 by 4 by 4. Let's convert this into a volume so we can scatter a few points. Okay, and oops. And let's go scatter. So we have a bunch of points. Those are way too much for now. Let's go with 10. And we could just put a copy to points. Oops, not group points. Copy. Sorry, didn't press tab. Copy 2 points. Okay, and wire this here. So we are copying the spheres into our scatters. Okay, let's decrease a bit. Let's go with attribute scale or randomize. Let's change the p scale. Okay, so we have a bunch of them. Sorry, I was thinking what I could do. Let's go something like that. 5. I can see we have some, we could fix that, but we don't need to fix that now. Let's just change the seed. So now we have a bunch of spheres. Let's tell this. Okay, we still have a little sphere there that is intersecting. So now we have everything. Okay, so we have a few spheres, and now they are all white without any point attribute. As you saw, we could randomize the color here. So any point attribute that you create on your scatter points will pass along to the spheres, because we are saying that here. Okay, but as I was mentioning, color in Houdini is a vector. So if I check here, we have point attributes color that is a vector 3 float. But this will work best with only a float, okay? And I don't know if you have seen my previous tutorial on vellum flying cloth. We use the simple technique. So we will have, let's put a wrangle. We will add a point ID or a sphere ID. In this case, let's call it sphere ID. That will be the same as our point number. Okay, so if I come here and check our geometry spreadsheet, now our scatter points have a point attribute named sphere ID that goes from 0 to 9. Okay, so when we copy 2 points, now our spheres, each point of each sphere will have that attribute. Okay, that let me check, be sure that we are there. Okay, so our spheres, now the points on our spheres will have this point attribute sphere ID, and we can see a bunch of zeros. That means that all these points are part of the sphere with ID 0. So in our case, imagine this is the sphere 0. All these points have the same ID. So this one is the sphere 1. All these points will have the sphere ID 1. So in this case, imagine you do the animation, then after the animation you want to colorize the spheres. Okay, so with that sphere ID, with that point attribute before we created before the simulation, we can now add colors depending on that ID. So let me cache this very quickly. It's almost at the end. Let's wait a bit. Okay. Now we have everything pretty cool, pretty simple. Now we can put a color here, and we can instead of constant ramp from attribute, let's pick that sphere ID, and we know that our sphere goes from 0 to the number of scatter points that we have, 10. In our case, it goes from 0 to 10 minus 1. In our case, it's 9. Now we can just color them, and as you can see, this way, this little technique allows us to color after the simulation. And that is what we are going to do when you create the simulation, and then you export to Cinema 4D and add the colors there. This is a little trick, okay? And we could come here and go with Alembic, drop output. But before we do that, I know someone will ask this on the comments. How about adding different textures? Okay, I'm going to explain that. So, but in Houdini, in Cinema 4D, when you create a geometry, it creates the UVs for you. But here in Houdini, you can see that we don't have any UVs. So you have to create them before you do the simulation. So let's go back here. Let's use, I'm not really the professional guy from the UVs, but I normally use UV project. Go initialize, check it, put a quick shade. Okay, now we can see that we have UVs. Not the best one. You can come here, I think, and change, go to polar. Okay, so now we have a nice UV. And after we copy 2 points, you will see that every single sphere has UVs. Okay, pretty cool. So now we can do the simulation. Let me go back. We can do all the simulation. Let's go and cache this little simulation. Okay, so I cached all the simulation, and you will see that we have colors because of this color node, and now we will have UVs. Okay, so we have the UVs ready to use on Cinema 4D. So before I export, I want to clean out the point attributes because we have too many because of the vellum animation, and we just want the color we don't need. We just want the sphere ID and the UV's vertex attribute. But I think we can just go to delete, attribute delete, delete non-selected, and here I just want the position and the sphere ID. Okay, let's check if everything is all right. And I think we need to texture UV. I think that is all. Yes. So now let me check. We still have the UVs and we can output and export the Alembic. Let me check now. You see the difference. We had like 31 point attributes, and now we just have the 2 that we need. Okay. So on the ROP Alembic, okay, the render output Alembic, let's go here. I like to keep things organized, and I already have one. So spheres abc.abc, it's really important to have these .abc. In case that you want just export a current frame, imagine you are just doing a modeling or something. If you want to export all the animation, change this to render frame range, okay, and press save to disk. Something happened. Let me see what happened. Okay, so let's go and change this to 02. Let's see if this will work. Okay, it couldn't overwrite the other one. Maybe it's permissions on the Windows. Don't mind that. So now we are exporting and writing our Alembic. Okay. So now on Cinema 4D, you will see this is pretty simple. So just drag the Alembic you just exported. I like to use the scale on meters because of Houdini. Frame rate, I work with 30. Okay, and press OK. So now we have our cool animation. Let me change the camera. And I have the Redshift here ready. Okay, cool. So now we create our material. Let's go create our simple material. And we have this material here. Let's drag it. Okay, simple. We have a really simple material. Let me put a dome light just to have a little colors and reflections. Okay. Let me turn off the background. So now, how can I use that point attribute that we created? You can select the geometry, the Alembic, and you check here on streaming, you have other attributes. So if you press this, it will import as vertex maps all the point attributes. Remember, now it just created this sphere ID because we clean up all the point attributes. If you didn't clean, all these 31 point attributes would be created here. And I think it will only create the point attributes that are floats, not 3 floats or vectors, okay? I think it will create only floats. That's why we are using sphere ID. So here on sphere ID, we have already this point attribute. You can check the name here. And here on the material, you can come here, write a vertex attribute, write the name that we want. It should be exactly the same with the upper cases and lower cases exactly the same as this one, okay? And then we need to do a little math. So we need to put a change range. This is the same as the fit from Houdini, okay? Wire this to the input. And we need to convert the numbers or the data from the vertex attributes into a scale from 0 to 1 to use it on the ramp, as you can guess. Okay, let's go here. So now, what numbers should we put here are the same as we did here. Okay, because we know that our sphere ID goes from 0 to 9 in our case because we have 10 spheres. So here, let's go back, and here changed from 0 to 9. And we are converting 0 to 9, the range from 0 to 9 into 0 to 1, so we can use on ramp and then link this ramp into our diffuse, and you will see something happen. Let's change the colors, and as you can see, we have everything. Okay, pretty cool. Now you can add colors, right? And you can do much more. Imagine that you want different materials for each sphere. Like you want golden spheres. Some will be golden, some will be, for example, let me go aluminum, okay. Maybe you want another one to be like, let's see, what do you want? Copper. You want the other one, why is that like that? Okay, sorry. So you want water with copper, and because we have UVs, you can even place textures on your spheres, but let's go with simple one. So what you can do is that use a material blend and blend between them. So let's go here, let's go layer color 1, and this will be layer color 2. Let's go here. So now we will use a ramp. Let me change the ramp mode. Where is the... Okay, let me go and go with a simple one. Okay, let's go change this to a step. This one into a step 2. Okay, so now we can use this ramp to mask our material blend. So let's link this to the layer 1, and you will see something happened. Okay, so and you can see material 1 is gold, and second is aluminum, and the third one is the copper. So as you can see, imagine this goes from 0 to 9, and here you can switch on each material. Like I want the aluminum to be only on this part, so let's change this here. So only these ones will have the aluminum, and now you can just link this here and do the mask for the copper material. Really simple, right? And now we can, like, okay, we have there, and we want these 3 to have the copper. So now you know how to mask the materials. So I have different materials, and then use material blend with ramp to mask and give different materials to each sphere. So to recap everything, you do your animation. It's important to have a point attribute that you can export, especially a float. It will work with floats. Then export the Alembic and use that attribute. Import the Alembic file. Check other attributes so it can import and create vertex maps with that point attribute, that float point attribute, and then use a vertex attribute on your material. Put the name, and then just play around with materials. Of course, you can like add the point, the sphere ID to colorize the materials. You can have as many as point attribute as you want. So hope this helps you. If you just use Houdini to create the simulations and then export to and render in Cinema 4D, now you know how to do it, and I hope this workflow can help you and speed up creating our digital art. So thank you, I hope you enjoyed this one. Have a nice day and see you on the next tutorial. Bye bye.